All right, good evening, everybody. The time is 6:30 PM and I call this meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Jeffrey,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Strzok,
Present.
Trustee Bristow,
Here.
Trustee Moya, Trustee Westcott, Trustee Mendoza,
Here.
Trustee Prochaska,
Here.
Thank you. Next on our agenda tonight is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve our agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Our agenda is approved. Is there anyone signed up to give public comment this evening?
not tonight.
Awesome. And I don't know that I see anybody online. So we will move on to our consent agenda. The items on our consent agenda this evening are the payment approval report in the amount of $1,325,511.02 and the minutes from our meeting on June 17th. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Prochaska,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Strzok,
Yes.
Trustee Mendoza,
Yes.
Trustee Westcott,
Yes.
Mayor Jeffrey,
Yes.
Trustee Moya, Trustee Bristow,
Yes.
And our consent agenda has been approved. Action items this evening. Item A is Resolution 2025-36. AJ?
Thank you, Mayor. With Widener Duran stepping back as the town's longstanding firm for town attorney services, the board has chosen Joe Rivera with Murray Dahl, Beery, and Renaud. I be pronouncing that right, that last one, as the next town attorney beginning Monday on July 7th. In addition to general legal services for the town, noteworthy provisions in the agreement include monitoring and advising the town on new legislation and court decisions affecting municipalities, providing legal advice, training, and support to the town board, town administrative personnel, and town departments, annual performance review of the town attorney, separate hourly rates for development reimbursable projects, no charge for travel time to attend Board of Trustees regular meetings. I do want to take a moment and recognize, truly appreciate the team at Widener Duran, in particular Maureen Duran, for her service to the town of Lochbuie as town attorney for, I believe, 18 years. And I just wanted to also mention that we will be recognizing Maureen at the next meeting. And as I mentioned before, Joe will begin on July 7th, and we're working with Maureen's firm on the transition now. That's all I have. Be happy to answer any questions or hear any other comments from the board.
Does anybody have questions tonight? I also would just like to give a very personal and public thank you to Maureen for all of the support that you've given me in my 6.5 years on the board. I've learned so much because of you, and I appreciate always your professionalism, your availability, and I'm sad to see you go. And I know that the new firm will do well for us, but they are big shoes to fill. Thank you so much.
I move to approve Resolution 2025-36, appointing Joseph.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Was there further discussion, Mayor Pro Tem, that you wanted to?
I just wanted to thank you for all the years that we've had together, and I can't think of one time it wasn't fun, so gonna miss you a lot, so thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and Mayor, if I could just comment, and I'll be back up there in a couple weeks, so it's not really goodbye, but I think I've said this to most of you, and I've gotten a chance to meet with you and train with you early on in your tenure. I appreciate so much what all of you do as volunteers. It is a big undertaking, and if we didn't have dedicated people willing to provide public service like you also generously are willing to do, I don't know what would happen really to this society. And so I am very, very grateful for that. I won't go on tonight about the changes I've seen in this town over the last 20 or something years. I don't know. Maybe you're probably right, AJ, more like 18, but it's been a huge, huge upward trajectory. Larry, you've been there from the very beginning on that too. And we can talk more about that when I see you in a couple weeks, but I'm really proud of the town. I'm proud of where it's gone. I'm proud of where it's going. Joe's going to do a great job for you guys. And I'm still around and kicking. So anything I can do to assist with that going forward, I will be around. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have a motion and a second. I don't see any further discussion. Roll call, please.
Mayor Jeffrey,
Yes.
trustee Moya, trustee Mendoza,
Yes.
trustee Bristow,
Yes.
trustee Prochaska,
Yes.
trustee Westcott,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Straugh,
Aye.
And the motion carries and the resolution is approved. Our next action item is going to be Mrs. Bowen swearing in Ms. Hernandez as our deputy town clerk.
I, Paula Hernandez,
I, Paula Hernandez,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
swear that I will support the
Constitution of the State of Colorado,
Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the town of Block Blue,
of Block Blue,
and will faithfully perform the duties of the office
office,
Deputy Town Clerk,
Deputy Town Clerk,
upon which I am about to enter to the best of
which I am about to the best of my ability.
my.
Next is any staff and attorney updates for the evening.
I'll lead off here. Just want to thank the town for being able to send myself and several staff members to CML. It was great, like, and drinking from a fire hose. Heather, I have just 75 slides I want to go over here to go over the legislative update. No, I'm kidding. But this was one of the more informative sessions. We get our list from CML about the changes that we kind of have to implement at the municipal level. And so there's great information here. I have notes that we'll be kind of bringing forward things that we need to do and working backwards from the ones that have timelines. So just what a great session. It's kind of one of the ultimate ones for municipal government. Great speakers and good just to connect with everybody up there and network with all of our peers. Last thing is just a quick reminder, town offices are closed on Thursday in observance of the Independence Day holiday. And then on Tuesday of next week, a week from tonight, in this room, we have our work session with Team Tipton. And I also just wanted to thank everybody for quickly filling out the survey that he requested. So we really appreciate that. All I have for this evening.
Any other staff members wishing to report anything tonight? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, moving right along then to mayor and trustee comments. I will have trustee Bristow kick us off tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just wanting to follow up to see if there's the process, there has been a process defined or communicated to the residents on how to propose changes to existing ordinances or new ones. This is in regards to the chickens and the Safer Streets presentation Josh Gunn did last fall. So just wondering if we're developing a form that they can actually submit and then be presented in front of the town board. But just following up with that.
Can I respond to that
yes.
one real quick? Interesting that you brought it up because that's part of what I was going to report on from CML. I specifically went and asked actually quite a few other municipalities, like what their processes are. And AJ and I have been looking at some processes. So we're hoping that in an upcoming work session that we all can dive in. So it's moving, but it, is moving slower than we all wish it would.
Great, I'm glad it's moving. I just keeping it on the radar, and keeping things on the radar. I just wanted to just see where we are, if we're gonna have that shredding event at the fall cleanup days. Just keeping it on the radar because time flies. And then I just want to say that I'm very appreciative of Maureen. Sorry, that's stupid. And getting me settled in when I first started with, going over all these laws and stuff. And I wanted to let you know that I passed it on to trustee Mendoza, that packet and stuff you gave me. And then when she's finished, I'm gonna hand it off to the other two trustees so that they can get up to speed too.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Trustee Prochaska.
I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Mendoza.
I don't have anything either tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Moya.
I don't have anything.
Trustee Westcott.
Well, before everybody thinks they're gonna get out of here really fast, I had a lot. So I got to go to CML. This is the first year that I've gone in 4 years. It was a much different experience than the first time I went, where I didn't feel like I really understood much of anything. And I got a lot. I knew what classes I needed to take this time, and they were all really helpful. I also really appreciated the opportunity to get to know town staff a little bit better, to get to know Mayor Jeffries a little bit better. So it was overall a really good experience, and I would recommend that if you can get the time next year, to try and make time for it, because I think it's helpful. That being said, I have a lot of ideas that sort of came out of sessions that I want to sort of run by people. One of the sessions that I went to was a panel of younger representatives on town boards presenting about how to communicate and better interact with older members of their council. And it really got me thinking about what are we doing, what steps are we taking as a town, as a board, to try and bring in the younger members of our community. I was looking at the annual report from 2024, 2025, and it said the average age of community members in Lochbuie is 32. And so I really don't know how old everybody is on the council, on our town board, but I think most of us are older than that. And so I'm wondering what we can do to bring in maybe a younger perspective. One of the things that was mentioned in that session was establishing some sort of a youth advisory group. So this is not necessarily like 20-year-olds, but this would be like high school students. I really love this idea as a teacher, as a high school teacher. I know that other municipalities do this, where they invite one or two local teenagers to sit in on board meetings. They're not voting members, but they can give input on projects that we're doing to basically represent a different voice in our community. I also think that if we were to move forward with something like this, it would also be a way for us to support our teenagers in doing something productive, fostering civic engagement. Obviously, we could also perhaps tie some sort of a scholarship to completion of, maybe after a year of being on the advisory group, then you are awarded a scholarship for whatever you're going to do in the future. But I think that making those connections early could be really advantageous to Lochbuie. So that was one idea that I had. And then the other idea that I had that I liked to sort of run by the board, sort of at the end of the day, the CML, is he the president, Kevin Balmer? Anyway, he got up and he was showing off these photos that people had submitted of their municipalities, and he was talking about how he puts these out and around in his office. And I started thinking about the fact that there is nothing on the walls in this room. And wouldn't it be cool to go back out to the community, maybe in association with the Fall Festival, and run some sort of a photography contest to ask people, solicit people to submit photos of Lochbuie that we could then mount and display in this room, in the lobby out there. And again, this would be a way that we can encourage civic engagement. We can encourage a little bit of artistic endeavors within our community. We can get some decorations going. We'd also have, I think we would get whatever permissions we would need then to use those photos in all of our publicity, postings, things like that. So I went through and my ChatGPT friends, and I just generated like written proposals on what these might look like. So these are not like what I'm suggesting has to happen, but I wanted to hand these out tonight, and then I'll bring it back up at the next board meeting. And if you're interested and think maybe that this is something we should move forward on, we can pull the board at that point. And I would also step in and say that I'm totally willing to be in charge of both of these programs. I know that town staff probably doesn't have time to do it, but I can make time to do it. So I'm going to pass these to you all, and you can look at them at your leisure, and I will email these out as well. I don't know that I have enough.
I'm good with email. Thank you for that. Do you have more?
So there's 2 pages. One is the proposal for the Youth Advisory Council or group, and then the second one would be for the photography contest. Another thing that I picked up at CML, I went to a session and Paula was there, and we both grabbed as many of these as we could, but these, the public works people, right? I don't know what they are. The municipal engineers from CML put together these guides. And it says that it's the Municipal Engineering Resource Guide. And I think maybe that's because they're the ones who published it. This actually has a really great overview of almost everything that we talk about on a town board. And so I grabbed some to give out to newer members because it's kind of like a Wikipedia of the stuff that we talk about in here. It is also available online. And like I said, I know that Paula grabbed some for staff here. But like seriously, like everything that we ever talk about, there's a summary and explanation of what it is. So I'd stick it in your bag and just bring it with you, or look at it when you're looking at your agenda. I also want to, I think that's my report on CML. I did notice that there isn't an annual report available online for 25, 26. And I'll follow up with an email on that, but I was curious as to, is that something that we just did last year? Or is that something that we're planning on doing? You know what that is?
Yeah, I know, we should have had one for last year. I think we do it retrospectively.
Okay, so when I looked at it, the reason I'm bringing it up is because it was Mayor Mahoney who was not authoring it, but he was there was a letter from him in there and it talked about him. So I know that Jamie's been the mayor for at least a year, so I just wasn't sure when that came out. And make sense? I do want to wish Mayor Jeffrey a happy birthday. I asked her if she wanted a cake and she said no, so just wish her a happy birthday at some point before you leave. Turning 36, I think. And then also I wanted to say thank you to Maureen. As everyone has said, you have been instrumental in helping my success on the board when we were interviewing a week, however long ago that was, 2 weeks, a week, I don't know what it was. One of the questions we got asked was, what would you like to see in a town attorney? And I just said, well, I would like Maureen. And unfortunately, I don't think we have the technology for that yet. Maybe in the next few years, we'll see. Anyway, I really appreciate everything that you've done for me, the good work that you've done for the town in helping us to grow. And I just want to make sure that I mention that. And that is all.
Thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem Strzok.
First of all, I'd like to say the Youth Commission is a valuable idea. It's fantastic. And after that, I'm going to start in on everybody else. So I was kind of wondering, what happened with what's the status of our asphalt management plan? I mean, we spent a lot of money to have a super duper plan made up for us, and I don't know that I've ever seen anything become of that.
So I can provide some updates. I think the vans that drive around and actually take pictures and develop a pavement condition index for us, they finished up last week. And so we have an assessment done of all our 52 miles of roadway that the town has. They have told me they need about 2 to 3 months of processing time to help apply it to maps, put grades on it, review all the data, and then develop a program that we can then move forward with. So we're in a holding pattern until that happens. As far as this year, we did finish up our striping for some crosswalks that was completed last week. And so we've got some of that work done. Next meeting, I'm going to be bringing to you some crack seal and some mastic road work. And what I've learned is that the town has a contract in place with Coatings Inc. That was a 5-year contract that they annually provide a service to the town. Now, last year, it was not advanced forward because we've got culvert repair work to do. And so that money was kind of refocused to take care of those. But there is some money this year to do that work, and they'll be going sort of mid-July into August. So we've identified some areas to spend some money on, that have some pretty wide cracks, and you probably know as you've driven around town where some of those areas are. So there's some work happening here that we're going to be moving forward with this summer. We'd like to get it done before school starts up again. And then one more thing is we've got a street sweeper we'll be renting to run around the town once the crack seal and the mastic is complete. And help clean the roads up a little better when all that work gets done.
All right, thank you. My second question is, have we chosen a route, to receive, or to collect the monies that we've kind of lost in our flow investigation? City of Brighton said anything about paying 100,000 or whatever it is?
They have, and that'll be presented to the sewer board at the next meeting.
Okay, all right. And my next one is, when will the board receive the 2024 financial audits? Kind of nice to have that prior to a budget meeting. For the workshop, it'd be nice to have.
We're, if,
Go ahead.
I'd be happy to answer. We haven't received that yet from the auditor. They've been here, they've had everything, we haven't received that back yet. Odds are that won't be presented to the board before our work session.
Not. You come make a little presentation, you know. I really just wanted to see, where we are as far as, what our actual deficit, really is, you know, after the audit, so. The next thing I'd like is, you know, it'd be really nice to receive a report from the department heads on the steps that they might take or suggest in an effort to neutralize the upcoming budget. I know it may be impossible, but it really would be nice to see some effort of everybody trying to neutralize or keep the deficit or the spending for the budget, you know, within reason. I don't know if they'd like to do that or not. But sure would help. I'd also like to see a diagram from each department showing the department head, along with the names of their assistants, next in command, or the person or persons that help them perform their duties. It would be helpful in knowing who's who and what they do. I think that would really be nice to have that little pyramid or whatever it is.
Org chart, is that what you're asking for? The organizational chart?
Do we have, well, I know we have the one that shows the attorney.
Well, typically, we can definitely discuss that for sure
Okay.
offline.
All right, good. Lastly, I'd like to say, you know, the Employers Council has been headquarters in Denver for more than 80 years. They collaborate with members to develop effective, successful employer-employee relationships by providing guidance in many aspects of human resource and employment law. Their committed team of experienced legal and HR professionals are respected industry veterans in their disciplines, including law, human resources, research, facilities, coaching, training, investigation, and negotiations. We were a member in the past, and so I'm wondering kind of why we no longer are. And maybe we could get a bid or a cost comparison. I feel it's a better organization to help the staff with issues and identity crisis. Be nice then if we use them. A lot less expensive.
Ben?
Well, I think if we're trying to bring everybody together and stuff, that's exactly what the Employers Council does. Years ago, we joined the Employees Council because we had somebody that was basically, to some extent, bullying other people in the office. The Employment Council can come, set up little programs, have classes. It's not just for staff, it'd be for the police department, everybody. So I guess I'm just asking that if we're still members, maybe we should pursue the benefits of what they do. That really answers your question without me being not very nice, so. I
Yeah,
just feel it's. a
I mean,
better
maybe,
help.
yeah, maybe just to have an update on how we are utilizing that resource.
That would help.
Because as we are not employees, we would not necessarily know how it's directly being utilized, but that's something
No,
that,
but it's
I-
a it's a service.
okay.
That very valuable, so.
Oh,
A little more than cheerleading. Thank you.
All right, before I go into my report this evening, I just wanted to circle around. Mr. Kennedy, were you going to talk about a deck clinic tonight?
No, ma'am, I had not planned on it. We did conduct a deck clinic last week. It was not particularly well attended. The information that our Safe Built folks presented was great. And I enjoyed the clinic, but we only had 2 people that showed up for it. So happy to, I mean, that's the quick and dirty overview of how it went. But we'd like to try again with another one, maybe another topic, maybe another time.
Nice, awesome.
But that's all I
appreciate
had
that.
on that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, I'm going to start with CML. I'm not going to be nearly as polished as May, and still in processing. So you might expect to hear me mention a few other things over the next couple of meetings. First, I just want to mention that I managed to get my hands on tips for municipal elected officials pamphlet. I looked on the website and the PDF that's on there is an older version than this one. So I'm going to actually hand this off to Heather or Paula to see if we can get copies of the updated one so that we all can have them, because it talks about things that I think are important: behavior and conduct, fiduciary duty, power of speech, media outreach, networking and relationships, and then a list of the top 10 resources. Anyway, I think it's just one more resource that would be helpful to all of us. On that same note, CML has something called Muniversity, like municipal university put together, where we can tap into learnings. And it was wonderful to see former Mayor Pro Tem Cohen be recognized by CML for hitting the first level of hours of learning through that. And I imagine that she'll be receiving a certificate or something for that. So if you do want to learn, there is so much learning available and an opportunity to earn recognition from CML. Some people were recognized, was it 120 hours? 120 hours of workshops and trainings that they have participated in. And I am super happy to say I'm a 10th of the way there with 12 hours from going to CML. I'm really glad that not being in a principal role for my vocation any longer allowed me to be off work to be able to go to the conference. I found it so beneficial. Speaking of previous board members, I don't know that Jacqueline White is online tonight, but I do want to mention that, like, one of my favorite things is just talking to the vendors. And I got this very nice brochure from Modern Shade, provides premium fabric shade structures like we've talked a lot about for our parks. And so I will be handing this off to Mr. Ash to have in his, or if we somehow end up with a plethora of money and are able to see to fruition some of our bucket list items. I wanted to also, just really give my thanks again to all of our staff. It really was nice to spend time with many of you and get a really more clear picture of how hard you work for the town, and greatly appreciate the opportunity that I had offline to talk a little bit about financial things with our finance director, and how hard they all work. And I just want to say that I love that we shine every year when we do get our audit report. There is, to my knowledge, not been any concerns in my 6 times I've sat through it, and I don't expect there will be this time either. So I'm anxious to hear that outcome as well, and make sure that things are still moving forward the way they need to. Other ideas that I had, I mentioned already to Trustee Bristow that there are other municipalities that have some of the things that I feel like we need to build a stronger foundation. So I'm anxious to get my hands on those and share them with the rest of you. I do love the youth commission or youth council idea. In addition to that, I am hoping to, well, I don't want to jump the gun, so I'm going to hold that thought for a future meeting after AJ and I meet next week. I think we should potentially think about how each of us could visit schools and get young people involved, like go into a social studies class, talk about town board, especially with the new Lock Buoy Intermediate rolling out with their change in grades. Or, having middle school students still being here in our town. I think we should potentially look at some incentives for people in our community that come to meetings, like little things to just show appreciation. I don't know that I have an answer for that, but it was an idea that I had. I also want to mention that Erie recently moved to home rule, so if anybody listening is interested in taking up that charge, potentially looking at forming a commission, people there might be a very good resource for us. And I ask each and every one of you, as you do the work of the town and things feel hard, or you feel like you're left with more questions than answers sometimes, to really make sure you can circle back to what the theme this year was, which is really, what is your why? Why? Why are you sitting in this room? Why are you doing what you do? Why did you run for the board? Why do you work in municipal government? Why? And I would potentially like to see those showcased over the coming months in our newsletters. So people can get to know people who work in our town, people who sit on the board. And I think that also maybe helps spark some interest in our community. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned at 7:07. Have a great night.